Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Yuvraj, and today's lecture's motive is just to focus on French Revolution from beginning of the French Revolution, a few facets of the history, and then France being a constitutional monarchy, and the rest of the part of the France after the France being a constitutional monarchy to the words the republic, establishing republic in the France will be discussed in the second part of this chapter. Let's look at what was the society's structure of the France, because every revolution, any revolution rather I would say, any revolution which begins in a society is very much dependent upon the society structure, right? So in France there was a monarchy, right? The state was governed in a monarchical structure. What is a monarchy? Monarchy is a form of government in which king is the supreme power, and king is replaced by his son, that again is replaced by his son, right? That means a hereditary structure is being carried over. Now it's not like a democracy that after every 5 years election takes place. It's rather a hereditary structure from family lineage, right? Today I am teaching you, tomorrow my son will teach you, then his son will teach you. That way the process continues. I hope this doesn't happen, so you get better affluent teachers than other anyone else, right? So French Revolution, king was the monarch. He was the absolute monarch, and his name was Louis XVI. Now, what was happening in the Louis XVI's reign was that he was a very, very selfish and a greedy leader. He was a very, very selfish and a greedy leader and a statesman. He was not an able statesman, to be very noted point. Also, he used to spend lavishly out of not his pocket. He used to not spend out of his pocket. He used to spend out of the state funds. Now what was happening when someone is spending out of the state's fund, and the fund which is being collected after the levying and imposition of taxes and the extraction of money from the taxes is not spent on the public welfare, obviously the society, obviously the state structure will get demolished, will get hampered. Now this is one part. Other part is that the society of the France was divided into three estates. What do you understand by states, or what do I mean when I put up the word estates? Please understand the spellings. It's ESTATS, estates. Now these three estates, first estate, second estate, and the third estate, this was a categorization of people according to their classes. Class means the income structure, right? The first estate was the noble classes, then first estate, sorry, was the clergy, then comes the noble, then comes the third estate. Now third estate does not have a name over here. It is again further divided into three categorization. First estate, I repeat, was the clergy, then comes the noble, then the third estate is further divided into three estates. The third statement, number one, is the business, then the businessmen, then the peasants, and then the small peasants. Now just look at how complex structure of society it is, that first estate, second estate, and then third estate again further divided into three estates. So it makes the whole society such a redundant structure that only economics is being prosperous. Economic categorization is getting prosperous. There is no equality, there is no justice happening, right? So how did this is the two parts of French Revolution. How we will connect it? How did the French Revolution start? Now, since the first part, the monarch was spending lavishly, right? And the second part, three estates, right? Each estate was not supposed to pay taxes. Only the third estate was supposed to pay taxes. Now when king, the first part, the king is spending so much that the treasury is getting empty, the state treasury is getting empty. So what he will do? He will levy taxes. He will increase the taxes, because money has to come from somewhere. You cannot borrow from other states. That was not the system that time. So what you can do to increase the money, you will dug into the pockets of the common man. Now the point over here, the most important point, is that the first estate and the second estate was not supposed to pay taxes. Only the third estate was supposed to pay taxes. This was the rule. Now when the third estate was supposed to pay the taxes, and the king is implying and increasing the amount of taxes, that too for his personal motives and to satisfy his selfish needs, and also about the needs of his nobles, it is automatically going to create a chaos in the lives of the third estate people. Now just imagine, today I am teaching you French Revolution from beginning to the constitutional monarchy, France being a constitutional monarchy. Just imagine if I start Russian Revolution in middle, and I tell you that okay, tomorrow there is a test. Obviously, you will not be able to sleep in the night, right? Because you will be burdened. So when you will be burdened, you will burst out. I will never want that. So the King Louis XVI wanted the society to pay for his lavish lifestyle. Now let's just define the three estates simply. What was the first estate? The clergy. Now, just like in India, there used to be a system that Brahmins, then Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas, and then Shudras, and the Brahmins used to be on the top priority. Okay. Similarly, clergy was the Brahmins of the France. They were the priest, the church people. The head of the church were known as the clergy. Who were the nobles? Like in India, we have Indian administrative services where there are bureaucrats, there are administrators, there are governors, other people, kind of diplomat people. Similarly, king used to have ministers under him. Those ministers were known as nobles. They were the people who used to help king run the administration. Now the third estate, automatically the common man, the peasant class, the business people, right? Now you have understood the structure of the society, you've understood the problem that there was financial crunches, right? And king was thinking of implying taxes and increasing the taxes. Now ultimately, what can king do? What happened, right? What happened was that there was also academic influences happening, right? What is the importance of academic influence? Why am I bringing academic influence into this? Just think that any change, if it's supposed to happen, you cannot make it happen if you do not have the knowledge about that change, right? Now the change which I'm talking over here was that the academic influence. Now I will talk about two philosophers, John Locke and Montesquieu. John Locke and Montesquieu. Philosophers are the people who think out of the box. They were already thinking that monarchy is not a stable structure. Monarchy should go away, right? And the deeds of the king which he's doing will ruin the state. So what happened? The John Locke and Montesquieu. John Locke, in his book Two Treatises of the Government, mentioned about the falling state or falling and the in a declining state of the France. And Montesquieu, in his book, mentioned about the federal structure, the separation of powers between legislature, executive, and judiciary. Just imagine, during those times, the people were able to think that much. Now, what happens next? Now, king, since Louis XVI was already spending too much, there were financial crunches. So he thought, what he thought, just I said you, just I told you in the beginning, that he thought of increasing the taxes. And obviously the taxes, as I mentioned in the beginning, will only be paid by the third estate, right? So when king thought of increasing taxes, he called a meeting and the meeting was known as the Estates General. Now why is it known as Estates General? Because all the three states representatives will have to be present at the meeting. It doesn't mean that every member of the estates, three estates, is going to be present. Rather, the representatives from all three estates are supposed to be present. So when the meeting was called, the meeting is known as the Estates General, and the meeting was called. Every estate, each representative from the three estates visited. But there was something which is very interesting happening over here. Majority of the population of the third estate entered into the Estates General, and they assembled over there. When they assembled and king put up the point that I'm going to increase taxes, they got, why? How can you do this? It is against the monetary structure of our lives. We will be ruined, right? Just like you will say, if I ask you to do Russian Revolution and then Stalin and I'll start putting up tomorrow's test and everything, you will say, sir, what is happening? Similarly, when king put up that I am going to increase taxes, and the taxes are going to be paid by the Estates General, which was predetermined, pre-decided, the third estate busted out. Right, the third estate busted out. They left the place, estate generals, like anything. Majority of the population which assembled over there, they left the place. They assembled at the palace of Versailles, which was a place in which is a place in France. They assembled at palace of Versailles and formed a national assembly. A new party was formed which was known as the National Assembly. Now this party obviously it's a party of the third estate people, and this party is very much focused with the ideas of the academic influences, right? From John Locke, from Montesquieu, from Rousseau, these philosophers ideas are there in their mind, and they are suffering. These are sufferer peoples. They have gone through so much atrocities of in their lives of the king's selfish lifestyle. Now when these people have gathered at National Assembly, they are being they are having debates, they are talking to each other. So what they come up with is that they are going to establish a constitution in the they're going to establish a constitution in France. And they decided that they're going to establish a constitution. They decided, and they put up the uh, that document in front of that proposal in front of king, and made the king accept the proposal. Now this makes the establishment of a constitutional monarchy in France. Coming to the important point, why is the need for a constitution? Now constitution makes the powers of the monarch in control. He cannot move the funds according to his own lifestyle. He cannot question or think in his personal needs. His nobles, his clergy, everything will be in a streamlined manner according to the constitutional norms and protocols and legislations. Very simply, any action will be taken in the deed of the constitution, whatever there is there in the constitution. And king accepted the constitution. Now when king accepted the constitution, the France, which was still having a king and a constitution, became a constitutional monarchy, right? Now constitutional monarchy, as I explained, there will be king, there is a constitution, and king will follow the written norms or unwritten norms of the constitution, and then he will govern. Now when what is the importance over here is that when the king accepted that he is going to follow the norms of the constitution, the protocol, the legislation of the constitution, he cannot put up a bill which he thinks he can, which he was thinking while in the States General, that he was going to put up a bill and ultimately increase the taxes and extract the money from the pockets of the third estate people. Now since constitution is there, it is going to think of equality, justice, welfare. Every action will be focused on the welfare of people. So this establishes France as constitutional monarchy, and this is till the 1791. Now after this, what happens is that there changes happen, decay and changes. What ultimately the when third estate is thinking of themselves, and also when constitutional monarchy is there, what is the major part in the constitution is that it gives you voting rights. That makes you a citizen. But again, these voting rights were still not equally distributed. Voting rights were there. Third estate, first estate, second estate, every estate was having voting rights, but in third estate people, these voting rights were not equally distributed, right? These were bifurcated. How? On the basis of income again. Now the business third in as you remember in the first part of this video, I told you that the third estate is again divided into further three classifications, right? That is the businessmen, then peasants, and the small peasants. Now the small peasants are who? The daily wage laborers, right? Now it was made a criteria that daily wage laborers will get a voting right only if they pay a tax of a tax equal to 3-day wage of their lives, of their daily earnings. Just imagine a person paying tax which is equal to 3-day wage, 3 days wages. That's a huge money for a small person to pay, for a small peasant to pay. So this again created a havoc in French society, which further led to the Declaration of Rights of Man, and it was established in 1790. And France did get a voting right, but in Declaration of Rights of Man, the criteria, as I just told you, was a little bit disturbed. So with this led to further disturbances in French society, and finally French was established as republic, which we will discuss in the next video. Please stay tuned with us. Thank you for watching. Thank you.